Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James. This is your everyday Rangers news channel, your fan channel, guys, your fan community. Right, look, let's deal with a few things. It is the morning after, day after, whatever you want to call it. You know what? You know when you sit there the day or the morning after you've done something or you've watched something or you've been part of something that you're not proud of. And we can all relate to that. We can all relate to the, drunken mistakes we've made or the other mistakes that we've made in our lives, and we kind of sit down and think, did that really happen? Was it actually that bad? Was it really genuinely, did I really genuinely see that, do that, witness that, whatever? Yeah, it happened. I mean, it happened last night. It happened yesterday evening. And, we lost 2-1 to St Mirren. It was pathetic. It was a poor performance, another awful performance by Rangers. Look, I think we need to kind of deal with this in a little bit of context. I've got to say, look, we've got to kind of realise something now, today, on the 27th of December. We've got to realise something. Clement is going nowhere. He is not going to be sacked. Patrick Stewart is not going to sack him. Fraser Thornton is not going to sack him. The board are not going to sack him. He is not going to be sacked because, there's a number of reasons why they're not going to sack him. Number one is they've already said they want to get away from the cycle of rinse, repeat, sack managers, rebuild, sack, rebuild, sack, rebuild. They want to get away from that. Now, that's very admirable, but at the end of the day, that only works if you get the right candidate for the job. If you get someone who plainly can't do the job, then at the end of the day, you've made a mistake. You really, really have made a mistake. So for me, you've got to kind of put that to one side in terms of that you can't keep sacking managers. Well, yes, you can if they're not very good at their job. You don't keep someone in the job just because you don't want to get a reputation of always sacking people. Second reason why they won't sack him is that they won't sack him because I don't think they can afford it. I genuinely think that there is an issue there with the money. I think that when the contract extension was put through, I think they've probably gone on to make another huge mistake, apart from giving a contract extension, which I don't get the wisdom of giving a manager who has not won the league, who has not beaten Celtic on a regular basis, a contract extension. If Clement had come off the back of, say, winning the league last season, then yeah, fine, give him a contract extension. So I think that when they did that, they didn't put any sort of clause in the contract that enables them to get out of that contract quite cheaply. I think that's probably another mistake that they've made. I genuinely think as well, and the reason why they won't sack him is because there is a genuine level of disorganisation around the club at the moment, and there is a kind of, well, we just kind of stick with what we've got and go with what we've got because that's what it is. I don't think that there is a feeling within the club to sack him. I think as well, the purple patch that we had, which, I mean, as a fan who grew up in the 80s and watching Rangers in the late 80s, in the 90s, I saw, the Sooners era. I saw, Walter Smith 9 in a row. I saw Big Ek win trophies. I saw Dick Advocat win trophies. I saw Rangers as a dominant force. Yes, that was all pre-2012. But, I have standards for this club, higher standards than I think Clement has, higher standards than I think some of the modern fans have. I think some of the new, younger fans in this club don't have the expectation that we do, that have seen this club come from where it deserves to, where it should be, which is at the top of the Scottish game. I think there is a genuine feeling that, second place is good enough to Celtic, and if we can consolidate second, they're happy with that. I think that is a genuine feeling amongst some of our fans. It really is. I despair. I despair with some of our fans, especially the younger fans. I think there is a real, kind of, just an acceptance of average. An acceptance of just being very mediocre. There's kind of a mediocrity complex amongst some of the newer supporters, the younger supporters. I think there genuinely is. And we need to get over that. We need to kind of re-educate them that for this club is unacceptable. And that's why they're more accepting of Clement, they're more accepting of James Tavernier, they're more accepting of Cyril Dessers than those of us who've seen the great days of Rangers with Gaza and Laudrup and Negri and Dado Perso and Nikita Jelavic and Goff and Butcher and all those amazing players that we had in the past. And yes, I know we don't have the money that we once had. Of course we don't. But Clement is going nowhere, no matter how bad it gets. And you know what? It is bad. It is bad. And I think, this purple patch that everyone talked of, when I think we were all kind of hoodwinked a little bit. We were all kind of, sitting there a little bit, like, oh, look, it's amazing. It's fantastic. It's great. It's wonderful. Oh, wow. Aren't we a great team? We're going to catch Celtic and win the league this season. I think we were all a little bit like that at one point. But that purple patch was a draw against Spurs, a hammering of Killy, who were poor this season, and a loss to Celtic, where we played better because we only lost on penalties. Now, I'm not being funny, but Walter Smith, when he was alive, God rest his soul, Graham Souness, Alex McLeish, Dick Advocat would be sitting there saying, well, actually, do you know what? That's not acceptable. That genuinely is not acceptable because A, we should be beating Killy 5-0, 6-0, whatever it was in the end. I can't remember now off the top of my head. We shouldn't be going into European games worrying and celebrating a draw in a game we actually probably should have won if we'd been more clinical. And we certainly shouldn't be coming away from a cup final going, God, we played well. We were really good, but they've got the cup and they've won the trophy and Celtic are parading the trophy round. How can you be happy with that? How can there be any sort of solace to take out of that? There is none. And I think if you're sitting there today and you're kind of saying, oh, well, we played well against Celtic though, didn't we? We really showed them. What did we show them? What did we show them? They still won the trophy. We got nothing. You know what? What is, do you know what runner-up is? Do you know what second place is? Second place is first loser. Runner-up is first loser. You're still a loser. Even if you play really, really well, but you don't get the trophy and the other team gets the trophy, you are still a loser. And that's not what this club is. This club is not, we are not a club that is conditioned to be losers. Yes, in the last 12 years, we have become a little bit of serial losers. But that's what it is. And I think, like I said, if you're accepting and you're taking solace in that game against Celtic, that final game against Celtic, you're being as big a loser as Tav, as big a loser as serial debtors. You really genuinely are. There's a lot that is wrong with this club. Now, people say, well, he needs time. He needs time. No, he doesn't need time. It's not getting any better. It genuinely is not getting any better. We've had a couple of games where we played well. The majority of the season, we've been chronic. We've been boring. We've been poor. We've lacked clinicalness. Our defence looks awful. Our passing is shoddy. It's slow. It's dithersome. Against teams that we should be absolutely smashing, that they smash, we're looking average. We should not be losing to St Mirren. I mean, bloody hell. Can you imagine Walter Smith, Graham Souness, Dick Advocat coming out after a loss to St Mirren and saying we were the better team, we played really well in the second half, and I'm really happy with the second half performance, when all you did in the second half was draw 1-1 with St Mirren? Can you imagine Sir Walter standing there post 2-1 defeat to a team like St Mirren, no offence, and saying, oh, we played well, we did well, we were good, we were much better in the second half, but we drew 1-1. It was actually only 1-1 the second half. We didn't actually beat them. It wasn't like, they were 2-3-0 up and we came back and we actually won the second half 3-0, 4-0. That's not it. We drew the second half with St Mirren. Now, Walter Smith would be turning in his grave looking at that today, watching that interview. He really genuinely would. He'd be absolutely appalled. Absolutely appalled. I was going to share this with you. This is Rangers' away form this season, and this is enough, I think, to get most managers of a club like Rangers sacked. This is from inside the SPFL. Rangers Scottish Premiership away form. Played 8, won 3, drawn 1, lost 4, goals 4-7, goals against 8, points 10. Let's deal with that first before we read the comment below. So that means in our 8 games away from home, away from Ibrox this season, we have won less than 50%, unacceptable. We have lost 50%, unacceptable. We have scored less than a goal a game in those 8 games away from home. Yes, there's been a couple of tough trips in there to Parkhead and to Pittodrie, but still there's been other ones that have not been as tough as that. To have got under 50% win rate and lost 50% of our away games and scored only 7 goals in 8 games is wholly unacceptable. Wholly unacceptable. Remember as well that 3 of those goals, of those 7, came against Ross County. That means 4 goals in the other 7 games. I mean, that's nearly less than 1 in 2. It's shocking. It's shocking. Now, you tell me on what planet that would be enough for most managers to keep their job. Please tell me how that form away from home would keep most managers. If you're pro Clement, if you want Clement to get more time, use those. Show me those. Look at those figures, and you justify from those figures him keeping his job. Please, please do it. We've dropped 14 points from the 24. And we're averaging less than a goal a game. So we've dropped 14 points away from home already. And we are 12 points behind Celtic at this stage. Now, let's get some facts clear in our heads. Gio was sacked when he was 9 points behind Celtic. Okay? Yes, the football wasn't great. I do think that Gio should have been given more time. I never called for Gio to be sacked. You won't find me anywhere calling out for Gio to be sacked. I never called for him to be sacked. Gio should have been given more time. He should have been given more time. He should have been given more money. He should have been given the investment to build this team because he got us to a European final and he got us to a cup final. He was moving the team back in the right direction with the right fitness coaches, with the right investment. I honestly believe Gio would have actually got us back to the top of the Scottish game. Beale was rightly sacked because he was awful. He was 7 points behind Celtic when he was sacked in November. We are now heading towards 2025, January 2025. Philippe Clement is going to be 12 points, possibly even more, behind Celtic going into the new year. Yeah, he will keep his job. He will keep his job. Look, I'm sitting here today spelling out reasons why this manager should be sacked. One, the away record. That's facts and figures. That's not opinion. That's facts and figures. Facts and figures say that he should be sacked. Facts and figures tell you that he shouldn't be allowed to continue as Rangers manager. You know, we're already 12 points. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. And I deal with only facts here. Facts, absolute. Fact is we're 12 points behind Celtic in December. And on the 27th of December, 2024, fast approaching the 1st of January 2025, the league is done and dusted. It's over. It's gone. Celtic have nearly completed this start of the season unbeaten. What the hell makes anyone think they're going to lose 4 or 5 games in the second half of the season? I don't understand your logic. Genuinely don't. Okay, that is an opinion. That's not a fact. It could happen. I doubt it strongly. Why do I doubt it strongly? Well, let's face it. Even if they lose the 3 games to us, which is unlikely, or very unlikely, we may win the 2 at Ibrox, but I don't think we win at Parkhead. We may. I'm not saying we will. I'm very doubtful that we will. I think on the second we'll get beaten. I can't see anyone else beating them. I can see other teams beating us because this is what Rangers have become now. We've become a team that plays well occasionally, but is pretty chronic most of the time. We've become a team that can raise itself for big games at times in Europe against Celtic sometimes, but the majority of the time is very average. You know, we've kind of become, I don't know what we've become. We've kind of become a kind of bigger version of Aberdeen to some degree, or a bigger version of Hearts, or a bigger version of I don't know, Espanyol, or a bigger version of Borussia Dortmund. That's what we've become, really. And it, like I said on the video this morning, it's not just the manager. Yes, the manager carries a lot of the blame. You know, those results. Yes, the players carry part of the blame, but it's the manager that picks the team. It's the manager that does the substitutions to influence the game. It's the manager that picks the tactics. It's the manager that gives the instructions for the players to follow. The players seem confused. They don't seem to have a set of tactics that work. He makes the wrong substitutions at times. You know, I think he's made something like ridiculous, like 52 changes before the 60th minute this season, which is just like crazy. You know, how badly wrong can you get it? He just doesn't seem to get it. And he makes decisions that you just sit there and you scratch your head at. I mean, like, for example, the St Mirren game, we sit there, we look at the team comes out, and we kind of say, why would you take... I mean, I get the Raskin thing to some degree. Well, I don't actually get the Raskin thing at all. You know, he's 1 yellow card away from suspension. And you deal with the game that's in front of you. You win the game that's in front of you, and you worry about the Celtic game when it becomes the Celtic game. But he's becoming so dangerously obsessed with that, I think, that it's counteracting what we do. So what's he going to do against Motherwell on Sunday? Not play Raskin because he might get booked? Yet Raskin was the best player on the park. Raskin was an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 when he came on. He was the best player. He was the man of the match for Rangers, in my opinion. He was the only player who gets pass marks, in my opinion, from that game. So what does he do? Not play him because he's at risk of sending up, and then we lose again, and then we're 15 points behind. Well done, Big Phil. But let's say we beat Celtic. Oh, well, it's all forgiven, isn't it? Well, no, it's not, because we're still 12 points behind, and it still means jack shit. So I don't get leaving your best player out for that reason. I also don't get this logic when you're playing against a lesser team who are going to low block you to not put the two centre forwards on that have been working effectively and linking well and scoring goals in previous games. That makes zero sense. I don't know why you would do that. It doesn't, like I said, he doesn't seem to think logically through what impact his decisions are going to have on the game and on the team. You know, if you're worried about rotation, you do what the vast majority of top managers do in Europe. I mean, you look, for example, at Guardiola's a bad example at the moment, but you look at Arne Slot, for example. You look at Mikel Arteta. You look at even Nuno Espirito Santo at Forest. They're third in the Premier League, for goodness sake. You look at Enzo Maresca, and they start their best players every game. They start their best players, and then when they get a lead, they take some of those players off after 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 70 minutes to rest them. That's what they do. That's how you are supposed to do it. You're not supposed to constantly tinker, rotate, tinker. It doesn't work. It's only ever worked once that I can remember, and that was Leicester City. Well, even then, the tinker man didn't really tinker. It was the same starting 11. So actually, that's an irrelevant example. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So you follow the example of real top high-quality coaches, you know, like the Jurgen Klopps, like the Arne Slotts, like the Mikel Artetas of this world. Alex Ferguson was another classic example of that. Didn't rotate, took his best players off to 60, 65 minutes, 55 minutes to rest them if they were in a position where the game was won. That's the managers you've got to look to. Clement is not even fit to lace their boots, any of them. You know, Slot, Klopp, Arteta, Maresca are all head and shoulders above Clement. Clement needs to look at them and learn. And if he doesn't think he can learn from them, then he's too arrogant to be a manager. But I'll repeat what I said at the start of the video. He's going nowhere. We're stuck with him till the end of the season. And I'll be honest, we could lose to St Mirren on Sunday, lose to Celtic on the 2nd, and he will still be in a job for the Hibs game. I genuinely believe this board will not sack him. I genuinely believe we will start next season with Philippe Clement as our manager. I genuinely believe that we could finish third this season and we will still start next season with Philippe Clement as our manager. I genuinely believe he is going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And that's what I genuinely believe, because I've said I think this board and Patrick Stewart have made it ultimately clear that they ain't going to sack him, no matter how bad it gets. And like I said, I genuinely, honestly believe we could lose to Motherwell on Sunday, be 15 points behind going into the Old Firm at Ibrox, lose at Ibrox to them, and he still won't get the sack. We'll be 18 points behind on the 3rd of January, and he won't get the sack. I guarantee it. He's here till the start of next season. 99% certain on that. 99. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, on the way out, please smash the like, sub, comment, share. Do all that fabulous stuff for me. Help the channel to continue building as we look towards getting that 7K by New Year's. It's looking dubious now. We've got 4 days to find, I think it's 270 members. Or is it 170? No, 170 members. 170 subs in the next 4 days. It's doable. It is doable, but unlikely. Thanks for watching. As always, remember, we are the people.